Hi everybody, North here. Just thought I'd do another video um, on my teachings that I want to talk about, how to live as a Christian person. My first video was about being humble as a Christian. Um, and to everyday life, it relates to people that aren't Christian anyway. Um, these are morals that have been used for centuries, and anyway, have a listen. I think these are great things to use in just general life, and how to be great as a person in ourselves, but mainly to God, because that's who we live for. That's who created us, and we owe it to Him. Anyway, my topic for tonight, for this video, is how to love like Jesus. All right, so bear with me. Still getting used to this. I haven't got a full setup to hold up my book and everything, but I'll try to get you guys as much eye contact as possible, right? Anyway, alright. Started off. So, when it comes to love one another, who could love more than Jesus, right? He teaches us to walk like Him, right? Let's have a look at some examples, right? He loved His enemies. How many of you guys can say you do that? It's hard. It is hard. I am trying personally to love those who done me wrong, and those who cause conflict and have harmed me, and it's been one of the toughest things to learn to fathom. But as more and more I've been trying to do it, the more rewarding it is in yourself, right? Also another one. He turned the other cheek. Coincides with that. Like someone's got a name call you. He said, man, it's greater to be silent and walk away from situations and sit there and quarrel and be a fool. So many of us just want that last bite, or want to have a, stab it, or get a reaction because we're hurting. But you find more strength, and there's more strength out of ignoring it and turning the other cheek. That person's going to eat himself up because you're not reacting. But at the same time, you're saving your heart, your mind, and your soul. Stress is a killer. I know, I've got a lot on my plate. But look, we're not perfect. But you know what? God knows that. This is why He sent His Son to help us, right? And I'll get along more lines of that story too. But this is where we've got to forgive ourselves, forgive others. I'm going to talk about forgiveness as well. I spoke a bit in my other video about it. But it's love, If you can't love yourself, man, how can you love others, And when people do you wrong, man, you can't retaliate with 5 versus 5. We all know that saying, right? Anyway, he walked that extra mile. How many of you can say that? Like, a lot of people say, I'm too busy. Who's just been like, look, I really need to go help this person. I keep saying I catch up. I'm busy. You know what? I'm going to go out of my way. I'm going to see him today. I'm going to put things aside. If I have to catch up, so be it. Put an hour or so. And sometimes they've been the best times for me. I've gone out and caught up with people, and we've had great conversations. You found out that, there was that day that actually needed someone there, and to have that positivity. Even, you see someone struggling, you're driving past, you say, look, I'm going to work, I'm late, but, I can see a situation now, I need to get help. Someone's just walking barefoot, they need some shoes, or they're not clothed, you need to get some clothes, or you see someone with a sign they're hungry, or you see, some domestic stuff happening, you're trying to intervene and, bring love. Just going out of your way, out of your own comfort zone, right? Jesus did this a lot. He came to serve, He came to show love, He came to show many things, right? So much grace in God. Jesus is awesome. Anyway, He healed the sick. His love, he's at the power, right, in Him. He's God, He's the Son of God, it's the Trinity, right? He healed the sick. He didn't let anyone. Where a lot of people back in those days would see someone sick or leprosy or something wrong with them, they keep them as unclean. They lived in the outskirts of the cities. They were looked at as trash, right? They'd rely on grace and goodwill of some people to throw them money or food. You know, they lived through dumps and stuff to survive. Many didn't. But you mean, he treated them with love. He touched them. A lot of them wouldn't, because you know leprosy is such a contagious thing. But he healed them, right? But he also gave the disciples and said to all of us, you know, through me everything can be done, right? He's in us. You know, he's given us the gift, but we have to have faith, trust. You know, he's given us the power of healing. You know, so we're going to trust him that we have that. You know, he says, through Jesus we have those powers. You know, he's inside us, right? He made us in his own image, God did. So, you mean, he fed the hungry and clothed the poor. You know, sort of like what I went along before. You're just going out of your way. I try to do what I can. You know, I love cooking. Everyone knows that. And it's therapeutic for me. If I'm going through stresses, instead of getting angry, I'll go cook. I love creative. But I cook so much. If anyone knows me, especially my ex-partners, I cook heaps. And they hated it because, you know, I make big meals, and which is something I'm learning to cut down on smaller portion sizes. But I cook a lot, right? But what I do now, I put them in Tupperware containers, and if I find sites like Pass and Play on Facebook, if Pay It Forward, or if you know any charity places, you put it up, you know, like your community centres, just look, I've got this extra food, does anyone want to donate it? You know, put them in your freezer, give it out, if you can. I'm not saying everyone, but if you have an opportunity to give, to feed or clothe someone, do it. Not do it for a reward. You know, like my reward is seeing other people blessed, seeing other people happy, seeing other people fed, and knowing that through my cooking, people enjoy my meals. You know, it makes my day, right? You know, I'm struggling myself, but you know, God will provide, and He always does. All right, moving on. He taught people about love and how to be saved, and the wrongs in our decisions, right? So I'm going to elaborate on all that. All right, Jesus' ideal model of love can rub off on your imperfect lives, right? I suggest to everyone to highly after this video to go in and just Google how did Jesus love, or how to love like Jesus, or how did Jesus walk. Read the Bible. That's number one. It's in there. But if you want to get more of an understanding, there's different translations that make things a bit easier to read. I know the old King James can be a bit full on for some people, especially newies, but you mean, just research yourself. If you know, don't just listen to me. Do it yourself. You know, God's there. This is my perspective. I've done research and I'm reading now, and I'm just sharing to you because you know, look, God's changed my life. And if it wasn't for His love, grace, and you know, reassuring to me that that He loves me, you know, I'd probably wouldn't be here or in jail or something. You mean, like, so I thank you, Jesus, and you know, it's praise God to Him. But anyway, I'm gonna share some more. Getting this way, getting off sidetrack. You know, like what we said here, you know, Jesus' ideal model of love can rub off on your imperfect lives. Why, you may ask? Because loving like Him is more attainable than we realise. Learning to love like Jesus, you will be changed from the inside out. Romans 12, verse 1. I mean, He doesn't just transform your mind of what other people think, oh, you're a Christian. He transforms inside. This is why I love when they speak about being born again. You're starting it. You're a new life. You're washed away. Your old life is gone. Now you're walking with Jesus. You will truly transform. And the only way it works is if you walk it and build your relationship with Christ. You can't just learn to be transformed by reading, you know, one verse a month. You have to like dig into it. You have to read and learn to walk like Jesus. That's how you get your relationship, because the Bible is just Him speaking to you. It truly is. You know what I mean? A lot of people, you gotta be careful too, because there are a lot of false prophets. A lot of people try to change it, but Jesus truly loves you, my friends. Alright, well, let's talk about some of the ways we can love like Jesus. Be mindful, number one, right? We need to connect more deeply with our lives and all the people involved in our lives instead of being withdrawn and disconnected. Alright? A lot of people sit secluded in their own homes and no one loves me. Well, I know there's an evil world out there and there's a lot of hate and non-loving people, but there are good people out there too. Depends on where you're living. If you're living a toxic life, surrounded by people that are living out of the world, you know, you're not 100% going to find love there. So getting connected with great people that can walk alongside you, that truly love, that are, you know, humble, that aren't judgmental, not self-righteous. You mean, look, they're out there. You mean, you just got to find them. When you do, stick by them, right? Don't give up. Being secluded in your own shell, in your cave, is the most toxic thing you can do to yourself. Your mind can trick you so much, especially when you've got these evil thoughts speaking to you. Trust me. It happens to me all the time. Anyway, number 2, be approachable. You mean, look, you say you want love and all this. If you've got a barrier up and you're being disconnected and you want love, but at the same time you're being hard to be talked to or unapproachable, it's gonna make it hard for people to show you their love, especially when you push them away. Some of us don't mean to. We have different bad habits that we do that just push us away as soon as we see kindness. We don't trust it. You know, or why is he? What's his prerogative? You know, like, you mean, we sit there and think there's something about it. But it's good to, you know, obviously, there's trust issues. It's good to be aware, be observant, be careful. But don't block every single person, right? Because this is something that we've learnt, right, in problems down the track. There's chiseled at us to make us so broken. But now we've got to re-teach ourselves. And through Christ, he shows us this. He's going to chisel and make you anew, right? It's important for people to feel safe approaching us as Christians, right? In other words, we should be more welcoming to others who seek us out. So this is for Christians now, not just for non. We need to be approachable. We need to be loving. We need to see that, look, when we come to you, we're not getting stared down by the way we look, covered in tattoos, you know, being stereotyped. You know, we need to be loving and accepting of everyone. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know a lot of people's like nunnas and nanas. Like, I remember, you know, growing up, you go around their houses and they don't care who you are. They tell you, look, take your shoes off, come in, wash your hands, sit down, have a meal. I don't care who you are. You have to learn. You listen to your mother, your dad, but nanas, man, everyone's just like, yeah, no worry, you know, take your shoes off, wash, and they show you love. They make you feel welcome, but at the same time, you know, it's that discipline. They realise that, look, this person cares about you, but they want you to show that same care back. You know what I mean? So, anyway, let's move on to number 3. Be full of grace, right? We must be willing to relate to others in a less judgmental way, right? Us as Christians, mate, we are far from perfect, right? We are sinners too, just like everyone else. But remember, God showed us grace when we gave our lives to him. Out of our brokenness, our worldly ways, our sin, you mean, and our hatred, whatever it was that we were doing, our lust, our greed, you know, he showed us forgiveness and grace and accepted us for who we are. So we need to be the same in return to our brothers and sisters, right? When I mean brothers and sisters, I'm not just talking about brothers and sisters Christians, I'm talking about everyone, because technically we are all related, we are. So we're all brothers and sisters, we're all a big family, whether you want to look at it or not, colour, skin, race, whatever. You know, well, I believe there's only one race, and that's the human race. Some ignorant people think differently, but anyway, I'm not here to be negative. Alright, number 4, be bold. We have to rid ourselves of fear, because fear will rob us. God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of a power of love and self-control. That's 2 Timothy 1:7. Fear is the enemy, right? He's a liar, he's a thief, he rolls around like a roaring lion looking for who he can devour, and that's the devil, Lucifer, Satan, what do you want to call him. He has his minions, his demons. You mean, they'll come out, whisper in your ears. That's where their thoughts come from. You mean, like, he wants you to be scared. But when you've got Christ and you know who you are in your life, you know where you're going, there's nothing to be fear about. If death comes to me, then so be it. I'm going to heaven. You know what I mean? I have my relationship with God, and he's going to judge me for all my wrong I've done and all my good, right? But the thing is, before, I don't know my chances of going to heaven. You know what I mean? Obviously, he'll be the judge of that. It's probably pretty slim. Now, in saying that too, you mean, Jesus didn't come to save our bodies. He came to save our souls. This is just a shell, right? When he says that we were made in his own image, I believe we were a spirit form before we left the garden. You mean? Because God is a spirit form. You know, he's everything. He's majestic. He's beautiful. He's powerful. He's everything, right? But he's in a spirit form. So it's all like that story, Ghost in a Shell, right? It's inside. It's our soul. That's what makes us breathe, live, think, conscious decision, everything. He wants to save that, and that's what's going to have a new life, a new body, right? So when everyone's worried about, oh, my death, when I get sick, when am I going to go? It's like, oh, this world is going to be irrelevant. There's a new world. Or there's hell. So, you know, this is where we're trying to get at. Now, anyway, that's going to be another topic down the track. Tonight it's about love. So, loving like Jesus, you know, with love there's no fear. Because if you love your enemies, why do you fear them? See? If you love people instead of hating them, there's no fear. Because it's only the hate, the negativity that creates that fear. Alright, number 5, be self-giving. We need to become less self-absorbed and more invested in those around us. So, you know, not be sitting there self-righteous or just focused on ourselves, but being more service for others, you know what I mean? How can we love others if we're mainly focused on our own needs and wants? You know, He's given us the gifts and availability to help others, and this is what we're meant to do. We're meant to be there for one another. Alright? God designed us to want happiness because He doesn't want us to not be happy, right? He wants us to be joyful. You know, if you look at Jesus in His life while He was here on earth, He brought joy, He brought understanding, He brought compassion and peace and love, humour. You know what I mean? But we often not realise that the things we think will bring us happiness actually won't, right? A lot of us go to materialistic things or our own views of what we think love is. The things we chase after actually hinder our ability to truly enjoy life. So true. You know, and we get used to pitiful pleasures. Materialistic thing, our last enjoyments, getting drunk, partying. We get so used to it that it becomes a habit that we feel no need for God. But then when we hit rock bottom, we always wonder why our lives suck. Who's to blame? Us. You know, acknowledging your own faults and taking ownership is one big strength and one way of moving forward too. That only the last moment, and we miss out on the deepest enjoyments life has to offer, which is love, true love. You look at a little child, for instance, who just wants to be loved, to be acknowledged, to be purposeful. Children notice the little things that as adults we don't see. Just the little things of drawing on a whiteboard, or just sharing a biscuit, or noticing something different colour you're wearing and it's funny to them. There's just little things can bring them so much joy that we forget as adults, and we usually brush it off. How many people can say, look, they're on their phone or on a computer or watching TV or reading a book or doing something, and your child comes up to you, look, daddy, mummy, look at this. And we're like, yeah, in a minute. But by then, they get discouraged when we go, oh, they're like, don't worry about it. As they get older, eventually we keep doing it. That's how a lot of us as transform as we get older, to not really care what others are trying to show us because of how our parents were doing. It's not that they meant to. It's not that they didn't love us. Just at that moment, they were putting other things first. We need to be like little children. Like, what is it? What have you got? I too can't say I'm perfect. I sometimes fall short of them. Like, in a second, but straight away I'm like, look, nah, put my phone out. What is it, Bubba? What is it, babe? You gotta train yourself. Especially if you've been living a long time in the world, it's like a habit. And to break a habit, it takes time, right? It takes only a couple of days to gain a habit, but it takes a couple of weeks to break one. But the faster it breaks is the harder you put your time and effort into it. Alright? So let's talk about why Jesus told us to be like little children. This is one of my favourite things, and I love talking about to others. Alright? Because a lot of us forget our inner child, and I believe that's one of the main keys of being a true servant for God, for being a happy person in life in general, and for the answer to breaking this curse of this world at the moment, all this hatred. Right? Here we go. Alright. with Matthew. So with Matthew 18, verse 3 to 5. I assure you, he said, unless you are converted and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child, this one, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one child like this, in my name, welcomes me. Right? Why is he speaking so highly of that, right? This was at the time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? That's how we answered. Right? And here's another time, right? People were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was angered. He said to the disciples, let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly I tell